Hey there, Mr. Reddit here. Welcome back to another episode of r/Entitled Parents Stories. Our first story we'll be reading today, I Only Have Pennies. Sorry. After that, sorry, I can't accept that much change. After that, maybe you should just show up at the time the order is supposed to be ready. After that, entitled stepmother gets mad at something I wrote in my diary years beforehand. And then we'll be wrapping up with entitled mom wants to tattle on me, a fully grown woman, to my parents about my attitude. And if you're new, please subscribe and turn on notifications for new stories from Reddit every single day. I only have pennies. Sorry. I've worked for a decently sized farm store chain for about 3 years now. This happened back when I was about a month in. For reference, my store is small. It only has 2 registers and, therefore, 2 tills. I don't get my own till, and I can hop to either whenever I need/want to. I was opening with one other manager who was busy stocking feed shelves while I was put on register. About an hour after we opened, an older customer walks in, and I can hear the immense amount of coins jingling in her purse. The woman couldn't have been younger than 60, so I just assumed she was one of those people that liked to carry coins on them. She didn't seem like she was struggling to carry her purse, so I thought nothing of it and welcomed her in. The lady walks around the store for about 10 minutes. The entire time, she's the only one in the building other than me and my manager, and eventually brings up a couple bones for her dog. I scan them and give her her total, around $10 with tax. Hearing this, she heaves her purse onto the counter, and it lands with a hefty thud. I'm startled. She's unfazed and tips it over to pull out a gallon-sized Ziploc bag full of pennies. "This is all I have. Is that okay?" Internally, I'm screaming, "What the heck? No! There are multiple banks a mile down the road. Why didn't you trade these in for bills?" Instead, I sheepishly told her it was okay and had to count them by hand. She tried to help, but I told her to just not and let me take care of it since I didn't want her to miscount. I didn't think she would, but I didn't want to get in trouble if she did. Counting out the total took about 10 minutes and left her bag almost completely empty. She took her bones and receipt and left with a smile. I was still screaming at her mentally. Her pennies filled up both the penny trays and extra coin trays in both tills, and we still had to put some in the store safe because we had nowhere else to put them. I got multiple comments about the amount of coins in each till by customers who noticed. In the 3 years I've been here since then, I haven't seen her again. I'm not exactly sad about that either. Next we've got, sorry, I can't accept that much change. My store has strict no paying in loose change policy. $5 is store policy. Most of us will bend it to about $7, but no more. There's a twofold reason for this. We only count loose change once a week, and more than $5 extra in loose change throws the daily till count way off. Also, the weight of too much loose change will literally break our tills. A coworker took pity on a customer last week and took $19 in loose change, and about an hour after, her drawer wouldn't shut, and we found the weight had broke the racks. Register out of commission for 3 days, waiting on replacement parts. Now, on to the story. Lady comes up. Doesn't look like a typical Karen. She's wearing a t-shirt from a local event, and usually this group is extremely friendly. She unloads her cart, makes small talk. Me. "So, your total today is $74.96. We are doing a donation drive and asking for you to round up to the next dollar. Those 4 cents will go to this charity in the next town over. Their location services their town and ours." Lady. "Sure." Me. "Okay, so that rounds up to an even $75. And she pulls a jar out of her rather large purse. It's filled with loose change. She started to dump it out. Me. "Oh, I'm sorry, but store policy is no more than $5 in loose change. We have a Coinstar machine over by the customer service desk." Lady. No, you have to take this. It's the law. No, ma'am. Actually, a business can decide what forms of currency they will take. Some places will not take bills larger than $20. We cannot take more than $5 in change. If you want to roll it or use the Coinstar, we will accept it then. No, I'm not paying that machine 12% of this. I'm sorry, but that is policy. Manager, now! Me. Points to name tag. That would be me at this time. That doesn't say manager. That says lead. My horses have leads, so what does that make you? Me. Our store doesn't use the term manager. We are leads, as in leading our departments and fellow employees in good customer service. Lady snorts. Whatever. You're just a cashier trying to be something you're not. Give me your leader, then. Fine. Pages for store manager. Excuse me, store leader, to come to my register. Lady started yelling immediately about how I'm refusing her service and she isn't having it. We have to take her money or she will call corporate and the IRS for us refusing to take her money. It doesn't matter what form it is in. Boss. Well, this is my store, my employee, my policy. You can take it home and roll it. You can take it to the machine, then use the voucher, or take it to your bank. That's your options. My tills will not hold extra loose change. I can't believe you're willing to lose a customer over this. Forget it. I'm out of here. With that, she walked away. Figured she wouldn't be back. 20 minutes later, Bagger comes back from doing her take-back, and we hear the Coinstar. We looked at each other. You don't think? No, couldn't be. It was. 40 minutes after we heard the Coinstar starting, we hear it winding down. Over an hour after her leaving, she is back in my line. Fine, I went to your dang machine. It cost me over $200. Where's my stuff? Me. Unfortunately, another one of our policies is to only hold groceries for 20 minutes. It's been over an hour. It's been taken back. What? Let me call someone. I quickly inform my boss. Boss tells the lady, if you will give me your list, you can wait in my office while I collect your items. No, I just want my dang money now, and the fee you screwed me out of. Coinstar voucher was over $1,700. Yes, she had that much in quarters in jars in her purse. All quarters. Boss comprised with her and gave her a $100 gift card instead of refunding the whole fee. Next we've got, maybe you should just show up at the time the order is supposed to be ready. So I have this story I wanted to share. It's nothing too dramatic or outlandish, but it's those kinds of things that make you cynical about people when you think about the fact that they act like the world revolves around them. So, I work at a grocery store that I'm not at liberty to identify. I work in the deli section of the store, which is usually the busiest part. While most of our customers are okay, with some that actually treat us like human beings and not robots, there are some that are less than friendly. I'm sure everyone knows what I'm talking about. It was noon on Sunday, and of course, that means that everyone and their mother is raiding the deli like flies to a pile of brown bodily waste. Lines as far as the eye can see on the slicers, sub shop, and the hot case. Not only that, but we also have a ton of online orders that we need to push out on time. Customers choose the time they want the order to be ready, but it always has to be 30 minutes in advance of the time it was ordered and printed out on our end. While they are a huge pain sometimes, I like to remind myself that if we didn't have that, they would all be customers added onto the lines, so it would be completely unmanageable. I was personally completing the sub-orders we had at the time, churning them out at a reasonable pace. I wasn't getting too swamped, thankfully. I get one order that's due at 2 o'clock, and since I finished all the other orders I had at the time, I get started at around 1:40. Normally, I could get it out at around 1:50, but there were 2 subs I had to complete, and we were already running low on the sub kits they requested. I only had one whole sub kit, so I needed another one. It was the store brand, so normally we have them pre-sliced from a special section in the distribution warehouse. But unfortunately, we were completely out of them, so I had to slice it manually. It's also 3 different types of meat combined, so it takes even longer than a normal sub kit. It takes me about 3 minutes to take the meats out, slice them, weigh the kit so that I'm not using too much, and then wrap them all up. Then I get asked to help out a few customers since we're absolutely packed. I could have just said I'm doing an online order, but I figured I have enough time to get the subs done since they were both the same and they weren't too complicated. Plus, I don't like to leave my coworkers in a lurch. I help around 3 customers for about 9 minutes, putting the time to around 1:52. I can still do the subs in 8 minutes. Once I finished with the last customer I helped, I went right back to the subs. Once I got the meats and condiments on the bread, I found that I needed 8 slices of provolone cheese for the subs. I go over to the sub shop, but find that the provolone I had sliced like 15 minutes back was all gone. Wonderful. I go ahead and take out the provolone from the case again, and I end up waiting 2 minutes before I can even slice enough provolone for me and the sub shop, since everyone else is using the cheese slicers we have. I get a large stack of provolone sliced up, take what I need, drop the rest off at the sub shop, and then go back to making the subs. Little did I know, the customer that ordered the subs showed up around 1:54. She just waited there and didn't bother to tell anyone until about 2 minutes before 2 o'clock. When she did, she complained to one of the other associates there at the time that she needed the subs as soon as she got there, but the time on the ticket said 2 p.m. sharp, no later. That associate went ahead and told me that she was complaining about the subs. Now look, if someone shows up early and they're cool about it, I'll work with them and try to get it out as fast as I can. I really don't mind doing that because we're supposed to provide excellent service. She, on the other hand, was raising a stink about how I didn't get it out fast enough, yet she was the one that was early by 6 whole minutes. Any other normal person would have simply waited there until we got the subs out on time. But apparently, she's so important that we needed to get it out on her schedule, even though she chose the time when she ordered the sub. If she simply just showed up at the time she set, the subs would have been ready. So now that she's complaining, I need to hurry and complete the subs at her convenience when we're still packed. Of course, I didn't do that as a favor. I did it because I just want to get her out as fast as I can. I get them done at 1:59 on the dot. The associate that heard the complaint also went ahead and changed the prices on the subs, taking $1 off for the inconvenience, which I really didn't like because it just rewards bad behavior, but that's beside the point. I get the subs wrapped up and packaged, and when I go to hand it off to the customer, she's gone like a fart in the wind. I'm left standing there for a minute with 2 subs in my hand, looking like an idiot while I try to find the customer. Like, wow, if you're in such a hurry to get the subs, why the heck would you just leave in order to do something else? Not only that, we're not exactly empty considering everyone wants sliced meat, subs, etc. Anyone else would have understood that we're in the fecal matter. So now I figured she probably went to customer service to complain. So I go ahead and walk over to the little refrigerator we have to place the subs in there until she comes back. Lo and behold, she does. The associate that talked to her lets me know that she did, so I go ahead and hand the subs over to him because I don't even want to look at her face. He gets that I'm pretty annoyed by the customer, so he goes ahead and hands the subs off to her. Of course, she just takes the subs and then just walks away. Oddly enough, she didn't exactly look like she was in a rush. We then talked about how that customer was full of it for a minute, and then went back to the grind. Next we've got Entitled Stepmother Gets Mad at Something I Wrote in My Diary Years Beforehand. It's been a while since I've shared an entitled stepmother story, but this one is from quite a few years ago. If you haven't seen me around before, hello, I have an entitled stepmother. My stepmother isn't the greatest person. She's verbally abusive and has been married to my father for the past 14 years. She's caused me to deal with a lot of anxiety, and I have a little PTSD from this history that her and I share. She's done a lot of horrible things, but my father hasn't divorced her due to my mother ruining his mindset when she abandoned us 17 years ago. And there's a lot of money and inheritance that would be involved in the event of a divorce. Now that the history has been shared, here's the actual story. Back when I was about 8, my grandmother bought me a diary. I had been obsessed with the littlest pet shop toys, so it was themed around them with a pink fuzzy exterior with a monkey stitched into it. When my stepmother got upset with me, or she thought I was hiding something, she'd absolutely tear my room apart. She'd find things and try to read whatever she got her hands on, or she'd find new things to take when I got grounded for the stupidest of things. What I can only assume is she found my diary one of these times because the events that unfolded next is the only logical reason I can come up with for why she found out what was wrote in it. At the time, I kept my diary underneath my bed in the rungs that held up my mattress. I came back from my mom's for the weekend. My life there was not much better than home, and my room was in an unusual, distressed state. There were things on the floor and pulled out of drawers, but I checked under my bed and found my diary was still where it belonged, though not exactly where I left it. Luckily, I kept the keys to the lock under my bedside table, somewhere where she probably wouldn't think to look. A few weeks later, my stepsister came to visit. She's 11 years my elder, and at the time this event happened, I was 10 and didn't use the diary that often. There were actually never many entries that I put into it, as it was rather sporadic when I wanted to write into it. While my stepsister was in town, she asked me if I had a diary, and I told her I did. She asked me if she could read it, and though I didn't know her well, because she was never around and lived across the country at the time, I agreed because I trusted her to some degree. The next day, my stepmother confronted me about one of the entries, and I knew that she had gotten her hands on it as well because of what she fussed at me about. One day, I had taken my diary over to my grandmother's with me, not long after I got it, because I was writing in it all the time at 8 years old. My grandmother lived across the street, and one day my stepbrother was over there as well, and he was quite a nuisance because he's as entitled as my stepmother, even at the age of 6. He was pretty bratty, and it was irritating. I had wrote in my diary that I wanted him to go home. Now, to note, I dated my diary entries. When I wrote this entry, it had been 2 years beforehand, so when my stepmother confronted me, it was kind of stupid at this point. She tore into me too, saying, "What do you mean you want him to go home? This is his home. Do you not want him to be here? Do you hate us this much? You should be ashamed." Summarized from what I remember, because it's been forever. She wouldn't let me tell her where I wrote the entry the 2 years beforehand, and she just kept running me over and over and over, and I just kind of shut down. She shook the diary in my face the whole time, and I just stared at it, upset, because I couldn't get a word in, and she was blaming me for not carrying around either of them. I ended up grounded for what I wrote. I used the diary to let out my feelings, though many of them were angry childish rants about people who were mean to me at school. I never mentioned her or my stepbrother, despite what she did to me, besides that one entry. When she gave me the diary back, I put it under my bedside table and never wrote anything else in it. I was too scared that she'd find it and get upset with me again. It stayed there under that spot until I moved my stuff out of the house 2 years ago. I can't remember if it's still in a box or if I threw it in the trash. More than likely the latter. I never kept a private diary again. Instead, I ended up writing about my life through blogging sites around the age of 13, and boy, was I able to talk about her then to my heart's content. Next we've got Entitled Mom Wants to Tattle on Me, a fully grown woman, to my parents about my attitude. Alright you guys, this went down a few days ago, and I've been chuckling and trying to understand ever since. Sorry it's so long. Older generations' lack of logic or reasoning just astounds me sometimes. A little backstory / clarification required. Sorry. My hubby and I work hard, and we've done well for ourselves. My hubby also loves golf and is quite good at it, Because of both of these, we were able and decided to purchase a nice first home on a golf course, which you can imagine is in a neighborhood of mostly retired folks. We are extremely frugal with our income and are definitely homebodies, so we invested in a house that I guess doesn't seem attainable for a couple of our age. I also tend to look younger than my 25 years when I'm in lounge clothes, no makeup, and hair tied up in a mess. This is important later. Our cast. We've got entitled Mom, maybe even Grandma. I'm not one to assume. We've got entitled Kid. We've got me, overprotective dog mom. And we've got Abu, 3-pound ball of cuteness overload. Story. There was a warning on Nextdoor app that a coyote was spotted on our golf course and to watch your fur babies closely. My pup was a gift from my hubby, as I have some medical issues that cause me to spend way more time in bed than the average bear, and my pup keeps the depression at bay. He is ridiculously well behaved, but he is very small and never around kids, so they kind of stress him out. I was in my backyard with Abu for a super quick potty break when entitled Mom, irrelevant dad, and entitled Kid roll up to the green that butts up to our backyard. I see golfers all day every day, so I usually don't acknowledge them, nor they me. Entitled Kid is smacking the golf ball around the green with 0 attempts at actually golfing when he spots my little pup and screams, "Mom, look at that dog!" I smile and wave, cause it was kind of cute, and then call Abu to head inside, even though he hasn't peed, as I already have a sense to avoid any further interaction. Too late. Entitled Kid has ran over and is crawling through the fence that separates my yard from the course. It's just decorative, so huge gaps. Abu sees this and runs to hide behind me as entitled Kid lunges after him and ends up on his knees at my feet. This kid is literally on my feet, so I can't move without stepping on Abu behind me. I get out of the entanglement and snatch up my pup as entitled Mom climbs through the fence. Entitled Mom. What a cute little guy. We can't go on without giving him some love. Me. Thanks. He's my little fur baby. Entitled Kid, meanwhile, is literally trying to tear him from my hands while I gracefully try to hold him away. Entitled Mom. Go on, Entitled Kid. Give him a cuddle. Me. I'm sorry. He's not really used to kids. He's sweet as can be, but can snarl and nip if he feels threatened. Oh, it's okay. We have a big lab at home, so Entitled Kid knows how to handle dogs. Let him hold him for just a minute. I'm sorry. He's already scared and will wiggle out of your son's hands, and I don't want him to be dropped. I am literally spinning in circles at this point to keep Entitled Kid's grubby little hands off my dog. This apparently insulted Entitled Mom as her face dropped and she went dead serious. If he's so fragile, then why do you have him out here without a leash? Don't you know there are coyotes? Me. I do. He's trained to never be more than a few feet from me, and because of his size, his trachea isn't fully developed, and the vet recommended we strain it as little as possible with a leash. That's unfortunately true. We don't even keep a collar on him unless he's outside. Entitled Mom literally scoffed. That's the most ridiculous thing I've heard. What did you do to him? Did you hurt him while you were training him? Getting seriously peeved at this point by someone insinuating that I would hurt my dog while still playing keep away with her brat. Me. No. He was the runt of his litter and has more than a few health issues because of it. I treat this pup better than I treat myself, honestly. Now will you please ask your son to stop grabbing at him? Entitled Kid, saying nothing up to this point, besides frustrated gargles, snapped at me. Just let me hold him. Me. No, he is too small and fragile to be held by a kid. We are going inside now. Have a nice day. Entitled Mom. Now you wait 1 minute, little missy. All we wanted was to hold your dog. Now you've been rude, inconsiderate, and I'm not sure you aren't abusing that poor thing. Give me the dog, and I want to talk to your parents. Do they know you just let him run around and do whatever it wants? You're probably just as spoiled as he is, which is why you think you can just walk away when someone is talking to you. Entitled Kid, still grabbing at Abu in my arms, unintentionally grabbed/grazed my chest, which caused a reflex of waving my arm to knock his away. This in no way hurt either of us, but it upset them both. Entitled Mom, what is your problem? Me, lady, listen. Please keep your kid from touching me or my dog. Get out of my yard and go back to your round so that my dog can just pee. I literally just got home from work and his bladder is probably about to explode, and I would prefer it not be on me or my carpet. Entitled Mom, you keep that tiny thing in a kennel all day? So you are abusing him. Who are your parents? I know everyone in this neighborhood, and I would like a word with them. We have never had unruly teens here, and I won't let you be the first. Guys, I'm not gonna lie. After that, I was laughing. I don't know who this woman is, but if she doesn't know me, she obviously doesn't know everyone, and she obviously isn't someone important in the HOA, so I don't care anymore. Me, with a submissive smile to get her to give up the goods. Okay, ma'am, what is your name? Entitled Mom proudly states name I've never heard of. Me repeats the name. Noted. Not that it's any of your business or matters, but this is my house. You are trespassing on my yard. My husband, flaunts ring in her face, and I both work during the day. So yes, he stays in a kennel, but that's because he likes that it feels secure and safe. This dog runs our house, and I guarantee no dog has ever been treated better. Now get yourself and your son the heck off my property while I go write a little note to the clubhouse about you and your ridiculous antics that I'm sure are not considered proper etiquette for this course. Entitled Kid never cried or even acted like he was aware of any of this was happening and continued to reach for Abu. My last statement was being said while literally holding his wrist in the air with one hand as far away as possible so he couldn't reach Abu in my other arm with his other hand. He acted like fighting a stranger to get to something was completely normal behavior. Meanwhile, the dad, I'm assuming dad, putted, gathered his things, and went and sat in the cart, also like nothing was happening whatsoever. This was all in like 5 minutes, but still, what the heck? Entitled Mom barked Entitled Kid's name after being at a loss for words and shooting daggers at me for more than an awkward second. He whined, "But Mom, the dog." She just walked away, and after a few seconds he followed. I couldn't walk away until they did. At that point, as I was holding Entitled Kid away, and honestly think he would have followed me all the way inside like it was no big deal. This was seriously the strangest interaction I think I've ever had. I missed a few statements between the two of us, but I think I got the important parts. Entitled Mom never got my name, but I'm not worried about her because she probably still thinks I'm some teen living in my parents' house. Since I'm not, no one will know who she's talking about. And shoutouts to our Re-Generals of the day, Old Red Sled, Nicholas, Drake the Break, and Draco Malfoy. Become tomorrow's Re-Generals by leaving as many Re's as you can in the comments below.